Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for catching the replay. If you are watching this at a later date, it is a Monday, the 22nd of May, 1 p.m., and we are here for Crush Your Cravings in 1 hour. Wowzers. Okay, so the purpose of this session is to condense everything that I put together in last week's Crush Your Cravings challenge workshops into an hour. Why? Well, I've never done this before, so this is a new kind of way of me presenting my workshops. And I'm doing it because I know that people are busy. Life is busy. Perhaps you signed up for the challenge and you didn't get around to watching all of the live sessions or the replays. Maybe you intended to sign up for the challenge and something got in the way and you never got around to it. And you've been seeing it all over your socials and you've been thinking, damn, I wish I'd joined that challenge, but I've missed it now. I'm going to be bringing you all of the key takeaways from our live workshops in today's session. And also, I know that life is busy, things get in the way. Maybe you were dipping in and out and you didn't catch it all. So this is a kind of boot camp style replay of all of our workshops in 1 hour. Hello, if you are joining me live, Elaine, lovely to see you here. I'm live in multiple places. I'm on in the Crush Cravings group on my page and on YouTube as well, just in case, anybody couldn't catch me on Facebook. Thought I would spread my seed as far as I possibly could, far and wide. Right, we have got a lot to cover in this session. I would suggest that you have a notepad and a pen because I'm going to be going through stuff quickly. Each of the workshops that I presented in the challenge was an hour long, like each one, and I'm bringing them all into an hour. Now, I do appreciate that some of that was, announcing winners and introductions and what have you. So we're going to condense it all. So I'm going to share my screen. I've got some slides. If you've been through the workshops, you're going to have seen this before, but there's nothing wrong with hearing the same thing over and over. In fact, with what I've been doing over the last however many years, I'm sure there's many people who've been in my membership and been following me who've heard me say the same thing over and over again. But honestly, I think in order for things to really embed themselves, for learnings to really go in, not so that you just know it, but so that you can implement it and take action, you need to hear these things over and over again. And not only that, you need to keep hearing them. So that's why I, like to get these things across in multiple different ways. So let us head to my charts and let's get going with Crush Your Cravings in 1 hour. Are we ready? Hopefully, my slides aren't going to get stuck like they did on one of my sessions, but I've got an eye on my window now, so I should be able to see if anything gets stuck. So last week we ran a 3-day event in our Facebook group called the Crush Cravings Challenge. And during those 3 days, I presented 3 different workshops, which were designed to highlight certain beliefs that many of us are, walking around with, which are actually myths. And that was the purpose of the workshop. So hopefully by the end of those 3 days, the end of those 3 workshops, your mindset has been shifted. Some of your core beliefs have been overturned, where you've realized, oh my goodness, actually, all of these things I thought were true, all of these things that I've believed for so many years are actually nonsense. And there is a different way, another way of doing things, particularly when it comes to overcoming your cravings. So these 3 myths that we covered during the workshops were, number 1, that overcoming cravings requires more willpower. This is something that I must hear on a daily basis from people on diets, from people, trying to be good, trying to be healthy, is that they just need more willpower. And they believe that the responsibility for overcoming their cravings lies in the fact that they don't have enough willpower. Perhaps you believe this about yourself. Number 2, that we should all eat fewer calories and delay our hunger. So, diet culture and, being on various different plans and programs has all led us to restrict our food, restrict our eating, eat less, and leave longer gaps between our meals. Snacking is bad. We shouldn't eat between meals. All of these things that we're commonly heard over and over again. Are making us believe that this is what we should be doing. And if we can't stick to this, then again, the responsibility lies with us. It's our fault. It's our problem. We are the problem for not being able to stick to this particular plan of eating less and leaving longer gaps between food. And thirdly, that being inconsistent means that we're not trying hard enough. Okay. So this, being on or off the wagon, constantly feeling like a failure, not being able to stick to a diet, not being able to stick to a healthy eating plan, not being able to stick to tracking all of your macros in an app, all of that is leading to inconsistency. So you feel like you're always having to, start from square one. You're always having to start again every Monday. And that it's the responsibility lies with you. It's your fault. You're not trying hard enough. And that's why you're inconsistent. So these are things that I hear day in, day out from people trying to, live a healthier lifestyle, to, make healthier choices, take better care of themselves, and ultimately, overcome their cravings. So what we did during these workshops is to bust all of these myths out of the water, and I am going to share that with you right now. So let's start with number one. Overcoming cravings requires more willpower. So we looked in depth at the cravings cycle, and this is something that I'm sure many of you will be intimately familiar with. This is how it goes. Number one, you cut out a food or a particular food group. Perhaps you started a new low carb diet. Perhaps you've started a low calorie diet. Maybe you've started something like intermittent fasting. So maybe you don't have to cut out any foods, but you have to eat between, a particular time period. Whatever restrictions, whatever rules you've got around food, this is the starting point. The food gets cut out. We move into number two, cravings for that food intensify. How many times have you said, right, no more chocolate for me, and that's it, 48 hours in, or even, 25 minutes later, your cravings for that food intensify. The more you restrict it, the more you tell yourself you're not supposed to have it, the more those cravings get louder and louder. And this then leads into number three, where you give into your cravings. Of course you do, time and time again. You give into your cravings, you succumb to all of your favorite foods. And it's not just the one food that you've cut out, it's all of the things. So it might be you've told yourself you're not going to have any sugar, but maybe what happens is not only do you go, face first into the sugar, but into the fast food, into the chips, into the pizza, because we're not, overeating kale salad. We're overeating chips and chocolate and muffins and all the things we've been told are bad, naughty, etc., etc. Okay, what happens then? We overeat at this point, right? We overeat and we blame ourselves and we feel guilty about it. And it's just a cycle of shame and, a spiral of, negative self-talk. And we feel terrible about ourselves, which leads into the next thought process, which is I'm going to be stronger and have more willpower tomorrow. Let's go. Let's cut out the food again. And so it goes on, right? This just keeps going round and round. And round and round. Okay. I'm sure you are all intimately familiar with this particular pattern of eating. So what's going on at this point, right? What is happening? What I wanted to do within workshop one is allow you to identify what is actually driving your cravings, because for many of you, you believe that it's this here, right? The fact that you're not being strong enough, or that you are giving into your cravings. But actually what's happening is that it's happening at this point here. This is driving the cravings further. It's not the fact that you don't have any willpower, it's these things here. And I'm going to go into those in more detail. So there are different types of restriction when it comes to food. So physical restriction, right? When you cut out food groups, you cut out carbohydrates, you go on a low-fat diet, you're skipping meals, you're counting calories, you're tracking macros, you're intermittent fasting, you're inconsistent, you're disorganized. Maybe you're really stressed and busy and you haven't got time to plan your meals, and you're simply not eating enough. This is physical restriction. Your body is not getting the energy or the calories that it needs to do its normal jobs, okay? And the body does not like to be in a calorie deficit. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of the term calorie deficit. I'm sure you've all been taught to believe you have to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. And that might be the case. Yes, you may well, and you probably have lost weight by being in a calorie deficit, but have you managed to stick to it? No, I don't know anybody that has managed to stick to a calorie deficit diet long term. Because what happens being in that calorie deficit triggers survival mechanisms at a subconscious level. So, a level in the body that you can't see that controls your heart rate, your breathing, your digestive system, all of those things that are happening in your body 24 hours a day, millions of different processes. This is triggered, this survival mechanism is triggered in the brain to get you to eat. So when you are in a calorie deficit, you are underfed, you are undernourished, you are potentially not getting all of the nutrients that you need from food. And the body, which loves to be in balance, will drive your cravings to make you want to eat. Okay, so that is one driver of your cravings. That physical restriction, you not eating enough, is driving your cravings up further. Second, when your cravings for that food intensify, this is when the mental restriction kicks in. This is when it's like, no, good and bad foods, all or nothing mindset around food. If I give in to my cravings, I'm a bad person. I mustn't have it. And this is the mental game. This is the chatter that we experience in our minds around food all the time, right? Telling yourselves that you're not allowed to have it. And that combination of that physical and mental restriction is both of those are driving those survival mechanisms to get you to eat more. So where the body is A, not getting enough food, and B, being told it's not allowed to have food, the brain is just understanding food scarcity. Your brain cannot tell the difference between being on a diet and being in a famine. And so it has these survival mechanisms in place to keep you alive. That's its main job. So that is going to trigger intense cravings, a higher reward when you eat these foods when you actually give in to them. And what happens when you give in to them? You overeat. And this is another physical driver of your cravings, because when you overeat, when you eat large quantities of food, and like I said, it's not a kale salad that you're gorging on, it's all of the fast food, the processed food, and there's nothing wrong with these foods. Those of you who know me know that I do not demonize any foods, but when you are restricting them and then eating them in large quantities, you are getting a huge spike of blood sugar and insulin, and this huge spike is leading to a big crash, and that is further driving your craving. So you've got all of these things at play. You've got all this happening, at a subconscious level inside your body that is just, driving those cravings further and further. Something called Last Supper eating, which many of you might be familiar with, which is where you're like, do you know what? Tomorrow I'm not eating any carbohydrates, so I'm going to empty the house of all the carbohydrates so I don't have to see them anymore. I've had 3 biscuits, so I might as well finish the packet. Then it's not in the house. I don't have to look at it, and I won't be triggered to eat it. Okay, that is a backwards, upside down way of trying to heal your relationship with food. What we really need to do is make peace with these foods and allow ourselves to have them in the house so that we're not being constantly triggered by them. But that's a longer term process. So this Last Supper eating is something I know a lot of you are going to be really, really familiar with. It's that kind of the day before you go, right, no, my diet starts again tomorrow, or the healthy eating starts again tomorrow. We're going to get it all out the way at the weekend, and then we'll be done. Okay, and this is where that guilt and that feeling sick and blaming yourself happens, because tomorrow you're going to be stronger and you're going to have more willpower. And all of this cycle, this entire cycle, is actually really stressful on the body. Physical restriction is stressful on the body, mental restriction is stressful on the body, overeating is stressful on the body, and this whole negative self-talk, I'm a terrible person, I hate myself, I hate what I see in the mirror, all of these things that we tell ourselves all day long are also raising our cortisol, which is further driving blood sugar imbalance and cravings. So you've got all of these hormonal, with your insulin and your cortisol and your neurological mechanisms, so all the stuff going on in your brain at a subconscious level, that are going to trigger and drive your cravings, that really have absolutely nothing to do with you trying harder, because actually the harder you try, the more this cycle is being fueled. Okay, and the key takeaway from all of this was that biology So what's happening at a physiological level, that the way that your body is trying to keep you alive, will always trump your willpower. So it doesn't matter how hard you try, or how many times you tell yourself that this food is bad, or how many times you start your new diet on a Monday. The more you restrict this food physically, mentally, and then go into this cycle of overeating it, which drives your stress levels, the more you are going to drive your craving. So the key takeaway here is that this is biology, right? This is just your brain trying to keep you alive, and it's driving your cravings even further. So it's always going to trump that willpower. All right, so let's just have a little comments check in. Is everybody present and correct? Do we all remember this from workshop 1? Is this new information? Does it make sense? Are we good to move on to the next section? Let me just check in with people. Are you doing other things? I just want to have a quick comments check in, because sometimes I tend to go on, and I want to make sure that you're listening and taking things in and paying attention to me. Let me know. Let me know in the comments, and I'm going to have a quick drink before we move on. Does this make sense? All makes sense. Good. Excellent. Good. Okay, right. So moving on to myth number 2. We should all eat fewer calories and delay our hunger. Now, hopefully what you've now realized from workshop 1 is that actually, leaving big gaps between our meals, not eating enough, skipping meals, etc., is actually driving our cravings further. So where we've all been told, pardon me, that, it's good to eat as little as possible, it's good to skip meals, it's good to leave large gaps between meals, this is what we should be doing. Actually, what this is doing is just driving our cravings further and leading to, all of these survival mechanisms happening, and also, guilt and shame, and it's unsustainable. The key thing here is that it's unsustainable. So where we talked about, the your biology is always going to trump your willpower, that's a myth busting, belief turning construct. What I want to share with you now is like what's actually happening, and what do we do then? So what are we supposed to do about this? So I need you to understand a little bit about your blood sugar, and this is something that we talked about in workshop 2. So many of us, well, I don't, but many of you may experience significant blood sugar fluctuations throughout the day as a result of what we just talked about in the first section. So skipping meals, low calorie foods, lots of high refined carbohydrates, low fat diets, low carb diets, calorie counting, but also that being disorganized, being too busy to do a proper food shop, not really preparing or planning your meals, not eating properly, just being a bit chaotic around food, stressed, busy, etc., is leading to these significant blood sugar fluctuations, which are causing symptoms that you may not even be aware are being driven by these blood sugar fluctuations. So things like tiredness and fatigue, irritability, lack of concentration and focus, difficulty sleeping, hormonal imbalance, perimenopausal PMS ladies, poor stress response. That's when like any small thing can really set you off and you just snap at a moment's notice. I'm sure we can all relate to that. Having a slow metabolism, having thyroid issues, anxiety, hunger, headaches, thirst, all of these things are driven potentially, there could be other things going on, but a lot of these symptoms could be driven by blood sugar fluctuations as a result of the behaviors around food that we have just spoken about. So the skipping meals and not eating enough. So we don't want this up and down throughout the day. It's causing us to feel chaotic. It's causing us to not be able to focus properly. And it's driving our cravings and feeding into that cycle. What we want is the orange line. We want to be balanced. We don't want to be up and down all the day, all day long, feeling terrible and having cravings at 9 o'clock at night and, feeling like, oh my God, at 4 p.m. I could literally, eat a sugar covered, deep fried everything. We want to feel balanced. It's okay to have some cravings for foods. That's completely normal. It is actually one thing that we talked about in workshop 1 was that your cravings are your body's way of communicating with you. So, when you are missing out on vital nutrients, missing out on macronutrients, which I'll come to in a moment. Your body is telling you that we need these things. Could you please feed me? We're underfed, we're undernourished. Please stop ignoring your hunger signals. Please stop trying to trick me with low calorie foods and slim fast shakes and actually feed me proper food. I need to be fed and nourished consistently, and I need all of the macronutrients in order to feel good and be along this orange line. This is what your body is trying to tell you when you are not nourishing it properly. So what we need to be doing is we need to eat regular meals. So this myth here, we need to delay our hunger and eat fewer calories, is the absolute opposite of what we should all be doing. We should all be eating regular meals, and there's no hard and fast rule about this, but roughly every 3 to 4 hours, if you've eaten a balanced meal, that's roughly when you should be getting hungry. But it might not be. It might be 1 to 2 hours, it might be 2 to 4. So this, again, it's about learning to listen to your body. And the thing is that when we're taking lots of rules and restrictions from diet plans and macro sheets and all the rest of it, we're not actually tuning into what our body wants and what our body needs. We don't even know how to listen to our body or what it's even telling us, what it's trying to communicate with us. We're just constantly trying to fight it, and battle with it the whole time. But when you eat regular meals and balance your macronutrients, which I will come to in a moment, all of that crazy thinking really does calm down. So, one of the key things that I know so many of you are struggling with is like obsessive food thoughts, thinking about food all day. Now, obsessive food thoughts is actually a survival mechanism. That is your brain making you obsess about food because it's dying to be fed. Please feed me. I'm going to make you obsess about food until you give in. But we don't see that as, us, honoring our hunger. We see that as us failing. We see that as us giving in to our cravings, giving in to our hunger. Oh, I'm so weak. I didn't manage to, skip dinner, or, I had to eat outside of my intermittent fasting period because I was just so hungry, or, whatever it is, right? You break a rule. When you feel like a failure, we break a rule and then we feel guilty about it. Okay. But if we just employ these simple strategies around food, those obsessive food thoughts can go away because the body is not triggered into survival mode, because it's not in survival mode. It's not in a fight or flight because you're nourishing it. It's fed, and it can then get on with so many other things, and it frees up that space in your brain. The brain isn't like, on high alert with kind of like red warning signs going, oh, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. That's just not happening in the brain, which frees up so much more space for you to focus on like other more exciting and interesting things that you could achieve in your life that have nothing to do with tracking macros and counting calories. So let's have a look at our macronutrients. So I'm sure you've heard of macros, which is short for macronutrients, but what are they? You might not even really know what they are. So when we think about macros, that's a kind of, a top level nutrients. They are our carbohydrates, our proteins, and our fats. Now, each of these macronutrients contain micronutrients. So micronutrients are our vitamins and minerals that are contained within these foods. So, our minerals like zinc and magnesium, and our vitamins like vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are our fat soluble vitamins present in, healthy fat containing foods, and our B vitamins and vitamin C contained in, different fruits and vegetables with antioxidants. So we need these things. It's no, like, it's not brain science, but it is like nutritional science that we need micronutrients to perform multiple functions in the body. Okay, so we need carbohydrates, we need them for energy, we need them to support our digestion, all of the different fruits and vegetables, and that includes starchy fruits and vegetables. I know so many people who've been on diets where they've had to cut out all starchy root vegetables, including things like butternut squash and pumpkin and sweet potato and carrots. These are gorgeously rich in beta carotene, which again is an antioxidant our body needs, but also actual complex carbohydrates from, whole grain sources that are going to help to balance that blood sugar and provide satiety. So you'll notice in each of these three sections, I have included satiety, which is like keeping you full and satisfied, as, a key function in each of these macronutrients. But actually, alone, they're not as powerful as when they are together. So you might feel when you've eaten a high carbohydrate meal, maybe you've had like stir fried noodles and vegetables and think that that's quite healthy, and that's not unhealthy, but that's not going to keep you full for very long because that's just carbohydrates. Or maybe you've just had like, an egg. Which again, will fill you up for a period of time, but not as much as if you have it on some sourdough with some avocado. All right. So what I'm talking about here is the combination of these macronutrients is where the power lies, is where the satiety and where that keeping you full and reducing those obsessive food thoughts really comes into play when you are combining your macronutrients. So with proteins, we literally need them for our muscle tissue, for our organs, for our skin, hair, nails, for our bone health, and so many more things. Proteins break down into amino acids, which are literally the building blocks of everything in our body that help to go and create our neurotransmitters so our brain works well. And literally, we are made of protein. By our muscle. When you think of animal muscle, it is made of protein, and that's what we need for our muscle tissue, and we need that. And again, it's going to, the protein foods, when combined with a carbohydrate or a source of fiber, are going to slow the release of the glucose from that carbohydrate food to help to keep you fuller for longer. And I'm sure you've heard that many times before, that protein foods help to keep you fuller for longer. But what about fat? Fat is so demonized because we live in a very fat phobic world. We have been led to believe that, foods high in fats are going to make us fat. And that simply isn't the case. We need these fats for our immune system, for our brain health, for our skin, for our hormones, for so many things. But also because fats are higher in calories than carbohydrates and proteins, and that's not a bad thing. They keep us really satisfied and full for longer. So many of you who've been on a low fat diet and eating a lot of just like, chicken and rice and vegetables, or, like, again, like veggies and noodles, and really not getting enough in the way of fats, may find that you just don't feel satisfied a lot of the time. Low fat dairy, fat-free yogurts, etc. You're just not getting the satiety element of the fat, the foods that are higher in fat. And a lot of us have actually got, you might have rules and restrictions around processed foods, but actually a lot of you actually are eating a lot of processed foods that are high in sugar and high in refined carbohydrates because you're too frightened to eat an avocado because it's too high in points or too high in sins, when actually that's going to be keeping you full for so much longer and reduce those obsessive food thoughts and stop you, reaching for those, high sugar, high saturated fat, high trans fat foods that the body is really craving. So the key takeaway, from this workshop was that, we need to eat frequently to avoid this up and down situation, and we need to ensure that we are combining all of our carbohydrates, proteins and fats to ensure that we are balancing our blood sugar predominantly from whole foods, predominantly from foods that look like this, single ingredient foods. Now, look, you don't have to cook everything from scratch. You don't have to change your entire diet and lifestyle, like overnight, but slowly start to think about, the meals that you are having and the snacks that you are having, and why perhaps you might be getting more cravings because you're not doing this. You're not combining your macronutrients. You're trying to, eat as little as possible during the day. And then come 9 p.m., your cravings are through the roof. This is one of the things I hear so often, is like, why do I have so many cravings in the evening? Why do I always want something sweet after dinner? Well, that is a reasonably normal, habitual kind of response. We've all been, lived with, eating pudding after dinner, and that's okay. But for so many people, it's that kind of like just feeling out of control in the evening because you're probably not doing this during the day. So I've given some practical examples of of like snacks, breakfasts, that kind of thing. This, I haven't put like main meals on here because they're kind of, I think a lot of people seem to struggle more with like lunches, snacks, breakfast than like dinners. But even so, some dinners might be really high in carbohydrate, like just a bowl of pasta, with nothing else. But this is mainly examples for, for snacks, and things that you can do really simply. What I want to get across here is that it doesn't have to be complicated. Okay, you don't have to spend hours in the kitchen, and you can be a little bit organized by making yourself a batch of granola at the weekend and having that for the week, and then you just have to top that up, with some berries and yogurt for your breakfast. Smoothies, I'm sure you all know, are one of my favorites. You can pack so much into a smoothie, and it be a really filling meal. Any combination of fruits and nuts, and you can have those in the house, Brazil nuts, pecans, cashews, whatever, with any fruit. It's just a really simple, easy snack for you to have, mid-afternoon, mid-morning, and so on, right? You don't need to, and you'll see there are sources of fat here. There's avocados, there's peanut butter, almond butter, full fat Greek yogurt, hummus, nuts, foods that you may have thought, oh my God, they're too high in calories. Oh my God, they're too high in points. But the thing is, by not including these foods, not only are you not getting the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals that you need by swapping them for some sort of low fat snack alternative, but your body is just not full. It's not satisfied, and it's not nourished in any way. And if you just look at this food, doesn't that look lovely? Doesn't that look colorful? Doesn't that look nutritious? And what you put in is what you get out. If you are feeding your body with nourishing things and nourishing foods, plenty of color, then that's how you're going to feel as well. That is how you're going to feel. So if you do have any questions or comments and stuff, I will get to those at the end, but feel free to pop those in. There's a comment that's just come here that said, hi, Lauren, I've just had an egg salad with granary bread, but I was still hungry. I was trying to fight the urge to eat, but I'm listening to you. So I listened to my body telling me I needed a banana. I started to eat it, and then my body told me it's full after a few mouthfuls. So I've stopped eating it. Thank you. Trying to learn to listen to my body. That's brilliant. That's so great. We must always be, especially in these early stages of switching over from, restriction to nourishing yourself more consistently. We always need to be checking in with our bodies. And like you said, you didn't need the whole thing. You were full by that point. You can eat the other half later if you want to. So that's brilliant. Well done. Well done, you. I'm just trying to see if I can get in the group to see who that was. Sorry. Because the comments aren't always coming up for me. That was Jane. Brilliant. Excellent stuff. All right. So I can't believe I'm actually doing this in a reasonable amount of time. I thought I was going to be, I felt like maybe I've missed out on a lot of stuff. But common belief number 3 was that being inconsistent means we're not trying hard enough. So we're always blaming ourselves for our lack of consistency. We're always blaming ourselves for giving in to foods, for having to start again, for having to start again every Monday. And that leads to inconsistency. So, you're trying to build habits, but you're not able to stick to it because you've been told it's your fault and you're not actually trying hard enough. And this is not the case at all, because actually habit formation is a skill and is something that most people don't know how to do and have never been taught. So you end up trying to change everything at once. If you've ever started a diet and fitness plan where you've had to, go on this, brand new restricted diet, all the foods are different, you're having to track it all in an app, and you're also having to do 45 minutes of workouts every single day. And then, 3 weeks in, you're like, I can't stick to this. This is insane. But, when you fail, you didn't try hard enough. You couldn't stick to it. But then you just feel that you've had to go all the way back to square one, start all over again, that the efforts that you've put in haven't counted. And the problem is with all of these, short-term plans, boot camps and 21-day resets and all the rest of it, is that you're not being taught habit formation. You're not being taught how to actually stick to something so that you can do it for the rest of your life. We start this thing and in our minds we're going, yeah, I'm going to do this forever. This is the thing. I'm definitely going to do it forever. But it's impossible. Literally, physically impossible for you to stick to something forever that requires you to change too much at once. So what do we do? How do we do this? How do we create consistency? I will come to that in a moment. What we discovered in our challenge was that, and these are comments from, so many of the people who joined. There were so many more of these who joined the challenge, that they're stuck, stuck feeling like, I've got this sweet tooth. I want to stop snacking in the evening. My cravings are out of control. I keep eating sweets and that's sabotaging me. I feel guilty. I feel bad about myself. I eat too much and then I feel ill and I feel guilty about it. I keep losing it if there's something chocolatey in the house. Over and over, I hear this over and over again. Every time I run a challenge, every time I bring new people into my world, this is where you feel stuck. And quite literally, like, I don't even know, like, what do I do? And what you're trying to do is everything that I've said is not working. So when you're stuck in this situation and your beliefs are this, that you need more willpower, that you need to eat less, that you're not trying hard enough, then of course you're going to be stuck. Because you're not actually doing any of the right things. You're not nourishing yourself properly. You're not learning how to build habits. You're not understanding what's actually driving your cravings and doing anything about that. You're just staying stuck in the same situation and trying to repeat the same thing over and over. And we all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So every time you sign up to a new program, every time you download a new app, every time you join a new slimming club or whatever, it is the same thing wrapped up in a slightly different bow, and you are expecting a different outcome. And it's never, ever going to be a different outcome. It's always going to be the same outcome if you keep doing the same thing. If you keep trying to rely on your willpower, if you keep having to start all over again, if you believe that you just need to eat less and exercise more, and all of that nonsense that we've all been led to believe, which I'm hoping now you're realizing just simply isn't true. And actually what our bodies are trying to do is work for us. Our bodies are trying to work for us and with us, but we are fighting nature. We are fighting our body's intuition and our body's, natural signals all the time by ignoring hunger, by underfeeding it, by not taking care of it. And I want to teach you, encourage you, empower you, inspire you, motivate you to do the opposite, to do everything that I've taught you, both in the challenge and in the last 40 minutes, so that you can end up here, okay? Not stuck, but actually moved forward in your life, a life that looks totally different to the life that you are in right now. Okay, you're not stuck anymore. You're not stuck in that cycle anymore. You've broken free from that cycle. I want you to think about what life could look like for you in 6, 12 months if you really put the work in to building consistency and learning how to actually nourish yourself every single day in small, achievable, sustainable steps that then build habits rather than trying to do everything at once, feeling like a failure and having to start all over again. Okay, so these are some of my members who've been with me for years actually, because that's how long it takes. I know you want fast results. I know you don't want to put the work in, but you must. And it doesn't feel like work when you're doing it slowly, when you're guided to know exactly what you need to do next and exactly what you need to do next. You can also feel like some of these, comments here. Liz, who said, my relationship with food now looks very different than when I first started. The freedom it gives you is something I never thought was possible. And maybe for you, you're thinking, I can't do this. But these women are just like you. They started in one of my challenges and now 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, which, let's think about it. Like the beginning of the pandemic was 3 years ago, right? Think about how different your life could be in 3 years, which feels like a long way, but it goes ever so quickly if you start taking care of yourself properly today and finally start getting rid of all of that old thinking and all of that old baggage that you're carrying around with you. Your life can look and be so completely different. Amanda said, I don't feel like this anymore. Muriel said, I never feel guilty anymore. Janet said, I'm no longer controlled by my cravings and my relationship with food has totally changed. Trust the process would be my advice. So there's so many ways that your life can improve, but in general, just being free from this cycle so that you can feel good, wake up in the morning and know that you've got a good breakfast waiting for you, and that's going to set you up for the day, and then you can hop along and get on with your life. Everything can turn around for you if you make the decision to commit to yourself and your future self so that your life can look a lot like this. So we delved into, why would that be important for you? Why would you actually want to, break free from this cycle, from this, cycle of restriction and beating yourself up and feeling guilty and all of the horrible things that you're living with day in, day out? Like, why would you want to do that? Why is it important for you? Because I could, tell you all sorts of different reasons, but you have to connect with it. You have to, be motivated to want to actually make the change. Maybe it's that you want more energy, so that you can move more. Maybe you used to be really active and now that's kind of taken a bit of a back seat because you're so tired all the time. You want to live your best life. You want your moods to be more balanced. Maybe you're struggling with hormonal imbalance. You're going into perimenopause or you're menopausal. And I promise you that balancing your blood sugar and managing your stress levels is going to go a long way towards helping you, feel better through your menopause. Maybe there are hereditary conditions in your family that you want to prevent, and you can do that through preventative nutritional medicine, so that you can, either reduce your medication or avoid medication. Maybe you want to be a role model to your children. So many of us here have got kids and daughters in particular, and we don't want to pass on our crappy food thoughts and beliefs and behaviors onto our kids. We want that to stop. We don't want them to experience all the nonsense around food that we've experienced. So think about what it is that's going to drive you to want your life to be better through nourishing yourself more consistently and building habits around your nourishment through blood sugar balance, through learning how to eat in a way that is nutritious. I know so many of you are trying to be healthier, but you're seeing that as a diet. So the problem is that, healthy eating has been gobbled up by diet culture. And, we start to view healthy foods as I'm good, I'm better for eating healthy foods, and I'm terrible, I'm bad for eating unhealthy foods. And even that is, driving your guilt around food. Oh my goodness, I ate something really unhealthy today. Well, when you have freed yourself of that kind of good and bad view around food, then there just isn't that, you don't have that, oh my God, I've got to start again tomorrow. My healthy eating journey starts tomorrow. And in order to do that, you've got to create consistency. You've got to stop starting something, trying to do it all at once, and then not being able to continue. You've got to create consistency, and that is how you create results. That is how you change your life. That is how you have a different future to the one that you have got today, that is not good, that makes you feel stuck, that is just like a loop, the cycle just going round and round. You have to start small. You can't try and change every single thing at once. And I know during the challenge I gave you a meal plan, and for many of you followed that, but maybe that's going to be too much even just to follow a full meal plan the whole time. So start small, be it breakfasts, be it snacks, whatever you need to just make it a habit. We want to prioritize the easiest habit. So something that either you're already doing that you can just up level slightly, or something that sits alongside something that you're already doing that doesn't feel difficult to really start to embed. It's got to fit around you. When we're changing habits, they've got to be practically imperceptible. It's got to be so easy that it fits around your current lifestyle. Changing everything about your life is never going to work. It's got to be gradual, and that's how it becomes a habit. That's how it becomes automatic. And you need accountability. So often I see people trying to do this on their own. The people around them don't really support them, especially if you've been on lots and lots of different diets. You're like, oh, what's she doing now? All your family are not particularly supportive. What's this now? You need to have a group of people around you, or at least somebody supporting you, providing you with that accountability, who gets you and knows what you're doing and understands the journey that you're on, rather than, people who just don't really support your new way of life. And repetition. You have to keep doing it over and over again. So the way that I teach people how to do everything that I've just spoken about is with my pillars of nourishment. Nourish your body, nourish your mind, nourish yourself, right? And we're not doing them all at once. We're going through them, strategically and methodically and slowly, step by step. So nourish your body is everything that you guys have been doing who've been inside the challenge and who've, tried the new recipes and done the meal plan. It's about fueling your body with the right nutrients so that you're not underfed and undernourished, so that you feel energized, you feel good, your blood sugar is balanced, and you're finding more joy in food. I think for so many people who've just been on lots of different diets, food just isn't a source of joy anymore, because it's just like, oh, I just need to eat a lettuce leaf and a Rivita and then track it on an app. That's not joyful. I want to encourage you not just to find more joy in food, but to find more joy in life. Because if you are going on holidays and going out for dinner and going to parties, and all you're doing in those amazing things that life has to offer is stressing out about your food choices, then you are not present in the moment. You are not enjoying who you're with or where you are or all the things around you, because you're just worrying that you ate an ice cream. Okay. And so by finding more joy in food and, getting rid of all of this kind of, nonsense that we experience, then we can just show up more fully in our lives and be present with all the amazing things that life has to offer. Nourishing your mind is about ditching that diet mindset, that all or nothing behavior around food, that good and bad foods, all of that. But also it's about building healthy habits and creating consistency. Consistency is so important, because you can't create a habit out of something you can't stick to. You just simply can't do it. And then self-care is so important. Nourish yourself. And it's not just about, getting manicures and pedicures and going for massages and what have you, but really looking at this whole journey from nourishing your body as a way of it being nourishing yourself. And, self-care. Eating breakfast every single morning is an act of self-care, is an act of self-love, is an act of, setting your future self up for the day, so that you can get on with all the things you need to get on with, so that you have the energy to get through the day, so you don't get to, 4 p.m. and you're like crawling around on the floor trying to find the M&Ms from behind the sofa. Okay. All of this, what we're doing, is part of nourishing yourself. And we also, teach you how to manage your stress levels better, and like I said, create more joy. So let me just check the comments, make sure everybody is okay. What's happened here? If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you always had. Absolutely. 100%. This is so true. So this is what we do inside my membership 365 days of the year. We are nourished 365. That is the name of my membership, which is the membership you've always wanted but didn't know you needed. So everything that we've just talked about in terms of overcoming cravings, which is driving that on and off relationship with food that you've got, and that inconsistency around your diet and lifestyle, that is all being, driven by your food behaviors. And I want to help you to change those behaviors around food and change your thoughts and beliefs around food, to help you build a life that you actually love, that is no longer taken up by obsessive thoughts around food, of being on again and off again and all of that stuff that we just don't want to feel so stuck anymore. This membership's been running for 6 years. Most of these members have been with us for 2 years or longer. And if you want to feel like these women do, then that happens inside my membership. So Kathleen, and these are just some wins that we've taken from we have a post every Wednesday that goes out called Wednesday Wins. And these are just some posts from there recently. So, Kathleen, who's one of our mentors, is that she's now consistently putting herself first and doing nice things for herself. Cheryl left a comment about the coronation weekend, which a lot of us had recently. And she said, we ate sandwiches and drank lots of tea. And this went right on through to Monday, but come Tuesday, did I go into panic mode? Did I regret those cakes? Did I tell myself off and say I would need to get back on the wagon? No. Instead, I enjoyed it, and now I'm back to my Nourish 365 way of eating. I know I can make choices without regret. So, just simple things like being able to enjoy, a coronation weekend. Not that we have those very often, but, a bank holiday weekend, a barbecue, going around to friends, and all of those lovely things, without worrying that, oh my God, tomorrow my diet starts again, or oh my God, I was really unhealthy this weekend. It's just salads for the week. You don't have to do that. One meal, one day, or even one holiday week, or even fortnight does not impact your overall health. The other thing that I want to sort of get across is that a lot of us define health simply by what we eat. Like, this is healthy, this is not healthy, and this defines how healthy I am. But actually, health is so much more than what you put inside your body. Yes, what you put inside your body plays a part, but also, like managing your stress levels, like being really stressed out of your mind is not healthy. Sleeping better, connecting with other people, doing joyful things, going out and having a nice time, being out in nature, having a dog, like all of these things impact your health. Okay. And so that's why when I leave comments like this, it's not just about, oh, now I'm just having green smoothies for breakfast every morning, because that's not what it's about at all. It's about impacting your larger nourishment, not just everything that you put inside your mouth. Christina said, I don't feel the need to get weighed. I don't feel the guilt. And Liz said, my relationship with food now looks very different to when I first started. So this can be you too. This can be you too if you are considering joining our membership or coming back, or you're on the fence, or maybe you've followed me for a year and you've dipped your toe in and out and you're just not sure. This is the time for you to make that change and come and join us inside the membership, because we follow these 3 pillars of nourishment every single day. It's how I live my life. It's how I teach you to live your life. And it means that we can enjoy everything that life has to offer, the holidays, the weekends, all of those lovely things. Because what is the point of doing those if you're just all of your thoughts are taken up with how bad you've been and that you need to punish yourself for having a good time? That's my ultimate philosophy in life. And it starts with these steps, but it takes time. It takes time. And you're never going to learn how to do that if you keep signing up for different diets, if you keep obsessing about a number on a scale, if you keep trying to eat as little as possible. You're never going to be fully present in your own life if you keep engaging in those kinds of behaviors. So I want to tell you a bit about what we have inside the membership, how we actually teach you the pillars of nourishment. So with Nourish Your Body, obviously it's about meal plans and recipes. You've had a meal plan in the challenge this week. If you've not been in the challenge, then we have a million meal plans. You don't have to follow the meal plans. It's not a meal plan club where you've got to follow the meal plans in order to be successful. It's, here's a meal plan that might make your life easier because there's a shopping list and some things you could do for prep. Not everybody uses the meal plan. Sometimes we put out a recipe ebook or collection rather than an actual meal plan. Either way, we've got more recipes than you're ever going to need inside the membership that you can be inspired by every single day. We have new plans every month and a whole library and collection of an archive of meal plans. And it really does help you to kind of learn how to eat like properly, with foods that actually nourish you and keep you full, and everything that I've just spoken about, and all of that confusion and overwhelm that you can often feel about like what's healthy, what's not healthy. It's all there for you. Everything that we promote includes predominantly whole food ingredients, but all kinds of snacks and treats and breakfast, salads, soups, lunches, you name it, we've got it. So that's the recipe side of thing. Nourish your mind. So the part of this is the consistency part of it. So in order for you to create consistency, you need to show up. You need to learn new stuff. You need to educate yourself. You need to keep doing these things over and over. And actually, one thing, I'm not sure if it's in here, but actually we have a whole framework on how to create a healthy habit, and that is woven through everything that we do. We've got Q&As where you can come and ask me anything. I run a masterclass every month and I bring guests in. We've got a whole library of on-demand masterclasses for you to dip your toe into whenever you have time, on all kinds of topics: menopause, body positivity, anxiety, skin health, gut health, all kinds of things. And then we have a regular monthly goal setting session called our Review and Renew session, which is quite new, but has been really, really popular with our members. Which enables you to keep accountable and create that consistency. So we look at how the past month has gone and the goals we're going to set ourselves for the upcoming month. So it's really good way of staying accountable and keeping yourself keep taking actions towards your goals. So that's our Nourish Your Mind pillar, alongside our Healthy Habits framework, which I teach you a little bit further along into your journey. And then as far as nourishing yourself and being accountable. Doing it on your own can feel really lonely and can feel quite stressful and is really hard to stick to. So our Nourish Yourself pillar, part of our Nourish Yourself pillar is our community, which is hugely supportive, inclusive, non-judgmental. People come in, there are all kinds of sorts of things with their lives. We don't, you're always going to get support. We have themes and challenges to encourage you to take better care of yourself, motivation from myself and my mentors every single day. And we also teach you, within the themes that we do each month, like we try and rotate them so that every month is a different pillar. So there'll be a Nourish Your Body theme, there'll be a Nourish Your Mind theme, there'll be a Nourish Yourself theme, and they kind of rotate. So when we have a Nourish Yourself theme, we might bring in a guest, we might have a challenge that week or that month, like a self-care challenge. And it's all about just embedding those small little things to encourage you to do them, daily. And so much more. I mean, it's hard to even explain how much we've got. But the thing is that sometimes it can look and feel really overwhelming. It's like, oh my God, all this stuff, how am I going to even consume it all? You're not going to consume it all, which is why, we suggest that you actually sign up for a year or commit for a year so that you can actually learn how to, embed this stuff and stop wasting time, stop wasting money on faceless, nameless, unsustainable diet plans and apps that don't actually care about you. I genuinely do. And I think those who've been in my membership, long enough know that I do. I don't want to keep leading you back to the same place, feel like you're having to start again, all over again. I want to guide you, support you to a way of life that actually puts your wellness first and teaches you these tools and skills for life rather than short-term quick fixes that you're never going to be able to stick to. And in that first month, we really do guide you step by step. There's a whole program in your first month inside the membership, and there's video lessons and actions. And it's really about taking it slowly and starting to embed those rather than having to throw yourself into it, at once, because that can feel overwhelming. And I've also got some bonuses for those of you who join up within the next 24 hours. Doors are closing at 1 p.m. tomorrow. They've been open since Friday. For most of you who've been in the challenge, you will already know that. If you sign up for the annual subscription, you will get a one-to-one with me, which is literally a money can't buy offer. We will get on a call together, a private call on Zoom, and it's going to be a fast-paced session. We're going to talk about exactly where you're stuck, exactly what you're struggling with, and give you a plan of action to move forward in your first 90 days inside the memberships. That's like a Kickstarter session, one-to-one avec moi for annual members. And then 2 further bonuses for anyone who joins up before we close the doors on Tuesday at 1 p.m. We have the meal prep bundle, which includes my 7 meals in an hour step-by-step meal prep workshop and an additional workshop about making a habit out of meal prep. Meal prep can feel really overwhelming. You might feel like you've got to spend 4 hours in the kitchen on a Sunday. You don't have to do that. And I teach you how to start small. But 7 meals in an hour is really fun, really actionable, and we'll show you how we'll get you to experience what it's like to actually do some meal prep. It's loads of fun. And also, if you've missed the workshops, if you haven't signed up for the challenge, or you signed up and you haven't caught up, all the challenge recordings will be going into the membership from tomorrow. So if you need a refresh, you need to revisit them, you'll be able to do that at any point. So most of you already know this if you've been inside the challenge. In terms of the pricing, I've made it as affordable as I possibly can for all of the value and support that you get from myself, my mentors, the content that we've got inside the membership. This membership's been going for 6 years. So you have got an absolute wealth of information at your fingertips. It's like the Netflix of well-being inside the the online the members portal. You can dip in, and if you've got a spare hour, or if you're in the car and you want to listen to a workshop, you can totally do that. We also have a private podcast, which means that you can listen to all of our Talk to Me Tuesdays, all of our workshops and masterclasses through your podcast app on your phone, which you can plug it into your car and have it going through your speakers. It's great. With the monthly membership, the one thing that I tend to get asked is, am I tied into any length of time? No, you're not. You can cancel whenever you want. You can come and join for a month, see if it's for you. And if it's not, then you don't have to stay. But really, the transformations and the real changes to your future self happen when you stick at it. So if you want to, join for a month, but really do give it a few months to embed. If you do have the means to join up for a year, then that saves you money over the 12 months. And you also get get that one-to-one with me. Do you have any questions about the membership, about what I've shared? I have done that in 1 hour and 27 seconds. So cheers to me for teaching you how to crush your cravings in 1 hour. I am amazed that I didn't go over. Right, let me have a quick look at the questions. Creating consistency is key. Absolutely. 7 meals in an hour is so good. I like to do it, especially when I'm out of time and need my meals ready in no time. Yeah, it's so fun. When did I do it? A couple of years ago. It was a nightmare, not gonna lie. To actually create it, I had to re-record that session about 5 different times. But in 1 hour, we all cook together and you follow it step by step, do exactly what I'm doing. There is some prep that you have to do beforehand. You've got to get all your ingredients out, all your pans out, but then you just pop me on your laptop, on your iPad or whatever, and just follow along with me. And by the end of that hour, excluding washing up, you will have 7 meals, breakfasts, a couple of main meals. There's like a chili, there's a curry. It's great. And it's all just totally step by step. So that's good fun. And you get that included with your membership. Julie says, totally recommend it. I was a member in 21 and have now entered perimenopause. I'm returning to Lauren's principles. Eileen says, bugger, I am in. Elaine, you are staying. I'm not going to let you leave. I'm glad to hear it. It's like I don't have to get back to your email now. Tracy said, I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD. It makes sense as to why I fail at so many eating plans at last. Is there a way that can help me cook consistently when life balance, yes, is a struggle? Yes, Tracy, 100%. I have experience professionally, personally as well with ADHD. So yes, absolutely. And actually, what I was sharing earlier with the quick things. So doing something like 7 meals an hour when you've got that energy and that like hyper focused brain is an amazing thing for you to do. And then that you're kind of like set up for a few days. But it really is about doing it like doing small things and working with the way that your brain works, because trying to follow somebody else's plan that's been created for a neurotypical brain is just not going to work for us neurodiverse folk out there. So yeah, absolutely can highly recommend that. I will help with that. Yes, you can still access the meal plan from the challenge that was emailed to you, and that you can keep forever and print it out and download it. So just reach out to us if you need that. That's not a problem at all. I had it on my desk. Here it is, the whole meal plan. And that's a 5-day meal plan with a shopping list and a prep guide for vegetarians and non-vegetarians as well. So yes, that's yours to keep once you've printed it out or you've downloaded it onto your computer. That is yours to keep, 100%. Does anyone else have any questions for me about what I've shared today? I cannot believe that I managed to. I might as well not bother doing these 3-day challenges, right? I can just do it all in an hour. I think we need to hear these things over and over again, though, don't we? Any other questions about the membership or about the workshops? What I will say about joining the membership, if you are like sitting on the fence, if you're like, I don't know if it's going to be right for me, because that is the biggest thing that I hear is that it's not going to work for me. I've tried all these different things. Why is it going to be different for me this time? And the thing is that it's not the same as what you've done previously. That where's the comment? If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always had, and this is a different approach, to doing this. It's just a different approach. It's common sense. It's learning how to listen to your body and, and tune in, and really, just learn how to nourish yourself in all ways. Fiona says, you've been a member for quite a while. Recently diagnosed as pre-diabetic and wonder if your membership will help me. Yes, of course. Is that somebody else's question or was that your question, Fiona? Because I know you've left, but you were with us for a really long time, and that will definitely help you. And in fact, do you know what? There's actually, I think, currently like a bit of an epidemic of women being diagnosed as pre-diabetic. And I think this is a result of like post-pandemic trauma, and just so much dieting and inconsistency around food and stress. And yeah, so we'll definitely help with all of that. In fact, we've had many members who have gone back into the normal range from being pre-diabetic, who've gone into a pre-diabetic range from being diabetic. I'm not saying these are normal results. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I can't cure your diabetes. But just learning how to balance your blood sugar better. And also, it's not just about food. Yes, it is about food, but for so many people, they're being told by their medical professionals that in order to control their diabetes, they need to lose weight, and in order to lose weight, they need to go on a calorie controlled diet, and they're being given pamphlets for Slimming World. And that is not going to that is not going to manage your diabetes. Going to Slimming World, it's the opposite. It's going to do the opposite of that. So yes, absolutely. All right. So, crush your cravings in an hour. Done. For those of you who are in the challenge, I will be back again this evening for a final closing party to celebrate all of our achievements from the challenge, and also any final questions that you may have. Please do come and bring them to me in the challenge group. And please reach out to me. You can email us on hello@laurengayford.com. You can, there you go. You can email us. You can private message me on Instagram, on Facebook. This is the link to join the membership. We are open. We are enrolling members right now, right up until 1 p.m. tomorrow. Get those bonuses. Get yourself signed up. Come and join us inside the membership. Come and see what we're all about and how different and supportive it is versus all the other things that you've tried, and what your life could really look like when you identify what it is why you want to change, and when you are given the support to actually do that, because you'll get a ton of support to actually really change, so you're not stuck in that cycle anymore. All right, I'm going to leave it there and go and have myself some lunch. And I'm really grateful to you all for being here. How much? The annual membership is £349 for the year. 349 for the year. Or it's £34.99 a month. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. And I'll definitely do this little recap again next time I run a challenge. So look out for that, whenever that might be. And I shall see you all later on for our closing party Q&A session before we close out this challenge. So have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye.